You are lost and you have thoughts like, I'm wasting my life and I don't see a way out. So you wake up every day with dread and anxiety. Then you search for answers, but you get overwhelmed. Starting to have thoughts like, what if I fail? What if I waste my time or my money? So you're stuck in the same job and then stuck in the same life. And then you blame yourself and say, why can't I do that? Something might be wrong with me, which leads to more self doubt and low self worth, a place to start. And I think that's a place that so many people in their 20s are stuck in. And what I want to open up with is, why do you feel, or why do you think that people end up stuck in that loop?
Wow, that's a great question. I think that's something, like, first of all, that's something everyone goes through. It is just the first step is always to admit that you're stuck and you need like help to get out of that. But I think, like, to answer your question, why it happens, because, in the school, they're never taught like to choose themselves and to look within and to look like, okay, what do I want? We are taught, okay, like, go to the university, study, be a good girl, be a good guy, do that, marry as soon as possible. Like in Russia, it is like that. So it is kind of like constantly some advices from outside, and people follow these advices, but they never ask themselves, like, what do they really want? And at some point, they start questioning, like, okay, is it actually the life I want? And then they start looking like at other people, what they do, and start copying them and try to kind of like, achieve the goals that not even theirs. And at some point they realize that, okay, somehow I'm just chasing so many different things, but still feel depressed because, first, like, I cannot achieve them because it's not my true desire, it's not my true goal, it's not my true purpose. Second, they have so many limiting beliefs, right? They have so many limits inside, like, okay, I cannot do that, I'm not capable, and stuff like that, because that is how our brain is kind of programmed from the childhoods. Like, we are taught so many things, like, don't be too loud, don't be too, it's like kind of dangerous to be visible, to be seen, success is like, money is dangerous. I could go, like, I know, let's just kind of, yeah, stop here because I could go on and on and on and on. But I think feeling stuck is something what everyone experiences. Everyone, like, stuck. What is actually stuck and lost? Yeah, you actually just don't know who you are and what you want. Like, if I had
Level of
to
disconnection.
yeah, disconnected completely from their true selves, and nobody actually even knows what it even means, like, their true selves, what it is. What is it? Like, what is it? But actually, it is so simple, right? It all starts with asking the right questions, and that is what I always tell my clients. Okay, what do you want? And they don't know. They don't know. That is crazy. But the second thing is that they know. They just never ask themselves these questions and actually sit with it, and not like look for on Google, like, okay, what am I supposed to want, or what other people want on Instagram. Like, it is crazy how many people feel guilty for not having the things that other people have. And then they achieve that. Maybe they even, like, have this money, have these cars, and have these like apartments, and they are lost again because they chase something they never wanted, you know? So yeah. What do you think about it? Have you been
Yeah, like
stuck?
so this is what really appealed about you and what you talk about and the journey that you've been on, but also what, like, this is built out of, this whole sort of idea. The podcast is called Changing Lanes, and moving through those lanes of life, working out what you really want. And it came from a point in my life where I realized, like, I don't know what I want, and I could tell you a lot of things that I didn't want, which is kind of helpful. It's not completely helpful, but it's worth having that there. But what I found was, it's all of those things that you almost talk yourself out of. Like, I want to achieve this. I want to have that, and where that comes from. And like, that was a big thing for me, is I realized that wasn't going after what I want. I was going after what I thought other people wanted. I was trying to operate a business in the way that other people did it, and it wouldn't work for me. And I could never click it. It could never make it click. I could never do what they did. And I used to beat myself up about it all of the time. Like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you do it? Like, and go really in on myself and be like, you know, you're this, you're that, like, you're a failure, like you can't do it, like you're destined for, you know, something that you don't want. And what I realized is, the more I pursued that, the more disconnected I became, the more like I resented everything I was doing. I'd resent getting up in the morning. I'd resent going in and like actually working in my business, which is not good. It's not a good place to be. And again, that had a real like negative impact on me, my mental health, how I showed up in the world. And it's like, I feel very like passionately, because I see a lot of people demonstrate a lot of the same traits. That's why talking about these things is really, really important to me. Puts a lot of people off, which is cool. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I found a passion, like, in talking about these sort of things, in talking about actually living the life that you do want, like getting in touch with yourself, what you really want. And I love what you said about how you were like actually think about it, because I can just sit there and be like, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? What do I want? And almost rush that. It is a
Yeah.
process that does take days, weeks, potentially even months. When I go in and look at within myself, like that took me a long period of time to work out what I really wanted, to do, like what direction I wanted to change into. But that is quite stressful. Now I understand kind of how that process works, and it isn't about trying hard. It's about just letting go,
Yeah.
like taking that level of judgment, that level of what you think it should be away, and just listen to the voice that's quiet, and what your like intuition, and like your intuition is the truest voice within you, and people don't listen to it, and it's suppressed and it's suppressed and it's suppressed. But like, I know ever since I started doing that, anything that I'm like, my intuition's telling me this, I listen to it, I action it, and it's right every single time.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about like how's that showed up in your life? How has this feeling stuck work for you? Like, talk me through that process of how you got there.
Well, I loved what you said. Just, like, it is first, like, the first thing I want to say, like, a small comment here, is that I think everybody feels when we go for our dreams and our true goals and desires, instead of in comparison to when we try and chase something else. It doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel, you don't have energy. You kind of like push it. It is not good, not good energy. And when you just focus on your goals and something that really fires you up and lights you up, it is different, right? So what you told about intuition, exactly like that. In my case, it is a process. Like, it takes practice to start listening to your intuition, to your like inner voice. It is not something that came naturally to me. It is something that I was afraid of doing, to be honest, because I had this limiting belief that I shouldn't trust that voice. I don't know why. I just had the feeling that somebody else knew better. So right now in my business and my life, I sit down every morning and I just take a piece of paper and a pen, as simple as that, and I write down, like, okay, what I like, what is the life I want to have, right? And I do that every day, not just on New Year's Eve. It's not just a New Year's Eve resolution. No, I try to do it every day. And some people, like my clients, ask me like how, or my followers, like how to get that clarity. They just want an instant like fix and that's it, you know? But it takes practice, everyday practice. You need to ask yourself every day, what do I want? And it can change over time, right? But I think this kind of self coaching is really important sometimes when you ask yourself. I think people are used to, you know, as I was like that. I used to be like that. As soon as I had like an idea, a business idea, or a problem in my life, I immediately called someone, like a friend or somebody who didn't have that success I wanted to have, somebody who didn't know exactly what I was talking about, you know? And I asked this person, do you think it's a good idea to post that video? Or do you think it's a good idea that I become a singer? Do you think it's a good idea if I coach people? Do you think? And I always relied on them, on their opinion. Or I called my parents, like when I was 16, like, oh, do you think it's a good idea if I study that and that? And they told me, like, no, daughter, it's good if you study economics for the next 6 years in Germany. And that is exactly how you should do that because Germany is a very safe country and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I actually followed that path, but I was so unhappy. My gosh. I was so unhappy. So I think it's important to build this relationship with yourself and to build it every day, every day, every day. Ask yourself the right questions and start with the simplest one, like, what do I actually want? What can make me happy? And observe your feelings throughout the day. Like, when do you feel the happiest? And I like, some people say, like, okay, I know there are some different opinions. Some people say you should not follow what you love. You should follow money, for example, if you talk about business. Just follow a skill that can make you the most amount of money, for example. Oh, I mean, I kind of sometimes I used to agree with that, but then I tried it out in my business and I tried to follow something that would make me more money than mindset coaching. I thought, like, okay, maybe just let's start something different. And I could not do that. I could not do that. And people could feel that. I could not sell a thing because it didn't make sense for me. I didn't like it. And then I came back to mindset coaching very, very fast because that is where my power is. And I love that. I love that so much. So I think like this kind of like self coaching every morning is very important. Have you tried it?
Yes. So I mean, a lot of it I've done in the past of like is a lot of like journaling, and
Mm-hmm.
ultimately all coaching is asking questions and
Yes.
not letting people like wiggle out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in situations where you know you can get away with X, Y, and Z, but sometimes you just need to like almost pin yourself down and ask those questions. So I think definitely what you're saying there about that level of like self coaching and that level of like introspection. Like for me, I've done it for years. It's one of the best things that I've ever done. And I can't imagine a world where I don't do that now. And for me, that level of like review, okay, this worked, this didn't work. What would I do differently next time? Comes very natural.
Mm,
And it's very like, I don't need to think about it too much, if that makes sense.
yeah.
It's very like that is a neural pathway that I've trained in my brain, and it is quite quick. Now there is sometimes where you need to change that up, and where you would go a little bit more in depth. You know, like say there's a situation at work or in your business or even in your personal life, and you're like, yeah, what didn't go well there, or like what, or if I had that opportunity again, I would do this differently. On the contrary, it's very easy, and we're very good at that like negative part of it. But that I'm this, that was shit, you're such a loser, you're too loud, you're too this, you're too that. Which I don't, I'm not going to sit here and say don't listen to that because, like, there's an element of that being true. There's an element of like, okay, well, if you're loud, is that necessarily a bad thing?
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily. Like, that could be a good thing. And if you have that ability to be loud, you can be quiet. Like everything is like there's you can go two ways, which
Yes.
is which is brilliant. But I think where most people fall short is they don't, they this bad thing. Okay, what didn't go right? But like, why did that happen? What would you do differently next time? How could you make it better so you don't make the same mistake? And that's something I'm really hot on at the moment. I'm like, don't keep making the same old mistakes, like because it just gets really boring and you get
Yeah.
really fed up very quickly, and it's miserable, and I don't like it. The other part of that is then also looking at your like giving yourself credit for when something does go right, or you handle a situation well, or you've had that insight. Okay, well, I'm going to do that differently next time I'm presented with that situation, and then you do it differently. And then
Yeah.
that is a pat on the back because you're learning your lesson and you're like actioning the insights that you've created within your life, which is awesome. Something that you said as well, I really wanted to talk about the self coaching part, but it was also about the like listening to other people and their opinion, which I thought was really, really interesting. Like what you said there was like, I don't think, asking for insight or like, oh, what do you think is necessarily a bad idea. But it's like how loudly do you listen to that voice? Like your parents' opinions are important, but sometimes they're not the way that you should always follow. And like because you better. And that's not like a negative thing. Same with friends, other family members, whatever. But you can, I think, building those like people. I always used to be very similar to you. The second I had an idea or something came up, I was instantly like, "Oh, who can I talk to about that?" Or my thing was, how can I who can I get to help me with that? So
Hmm.
what I taught myself there, and it's not until I've kind of like stopped all of that, is I can't trust myself to do it. Like I don't know enough, which is mad because then I used to do that. Girl, I've had an idea and I would go and work with a coach or a mentor because I don't know. And you just reaffirm that, like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And all that does is then proves that like I can't do it by myself. So the second that you are forced to do something by yourself or not able to have that opinion, then you don't go anywhere with it. I think there's such power of like have an idea. If you're like me, probably write it down because you'll end up forgetting it. And then oh, was that a really good idea I had earlier? And just sit with it for a few hours, maybe a few days before you start to verbalize it. Now, some things like again in business, like you'll know more than anyone, like you need to like act quickly. But there's other times where it's like that's probably the worst thing that you could do because your idea is really undercooked. You haven't
Hmm.
thought about the bigger picture. You've not thought about you're just so caught up on the upsides and what like, oh, this is the best thing ever. You get way too overexcited and then you end up crashing and burning.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
totally.
let's dig in a little bit more to your story. So what I love about your story is there's a lot of like moving parts, which I think people kind of underestimate. So, like, I was looking at through some of your content the other day, and it said that you said that you moved to a new country at 17 by yourself. You're studying economics, which obviously, by the sound of what you were saying, didn't particularly enjoy that, and you're working jobs that weren't um a good fit for you. So, how I think let's start. Like, how did you end up in that place, and then we'll move from there.
End up in that place, you mean like how did I end up in the situation where I didn't like how my life looked like, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. Like it is, I always wanted I always knew like that I would find my way to a big life. somehow. I just had this feeling from a very young age, but so many people put so many labels on me as a child already because they were also so stuck in their fears. Like my family, people surrounded me. They were nice and kind, but they started putting these labels, and I think it happens to almost everyone. Right? So my dreams started to die slowly. They started to die, and I stopped believing at some point that I can be the way I wanted. So I started to follow the normal path and to rely on what my parents wanted me to do. And I had this picture in my mind. They knew better, they were adults, they knew better. So I just trusted them and kind of, just like as a child, you dream big, as a child, you don't have any limits. But at some point, something changes. And I think everybody experienced that. So that was my case also. So yeah, I just, moved to Germany, studied economics, felt really insecure. I wanted to quit so many times, like my studies. And I told my parents, I want to quit. I don't like it. I recognized I didn't like that environment, people there, like the studies itself, like it was boring to me. And I wanted to do something creative. Actually, I was so afraid to tell them that I want to create content. Back then, I was 16, 17, 18, 19, and I always created content but never posted. That is crazy. I have thousands and thousands of different videos, different ideas. And I remember this voice inside. Yeah, but Victoria, what kind of content do you want to post? It is silly. All the time I had this idea, like, it is silly, like, you have nothing to share. Nothing. And then I realized later where it came from because every time I went to my parents and said, like, I don't want to study that. I want to do something differently. And they were like, okay, but what? And I was like, I don't know, something creative, maybe videos. And I was so afraid to tell them content creation because I knew that they would say, that's stupid. And I shared that with some of my friends, and they were like, oh my gosh, like there are so many content creators, there are so many people who are doing that. Come on, like I hope you're not gonna do that. And I felt even worse for having even that idea. So I didn't stop creating. It's like I didn't upload it anywhere. So I just had a lot of videos on my phone, but never actually did anything with that. And then the moment it hit me, like I was 23 when I graduated from high school in Germany 2 years ago. And I remember that day it hit me. Oh my gosh, like I already had worked in different companies, and I hated it. I quit like in 6 months. Every 6 months I quit because it was so boring. And I called my dad the moment I had my how do you say that in English? I don't know. Like I graduated, you have this, what is
What
it? Degree? How?
a degree,
Yeah, a degree.
like
Is it
university?
also,
Yeah,
yeah, a university degree, this paper, like official paper. And I called my father to say, like, yeah, I finally, I made it. Now I have it. And I realized in that moment, I did that for his validation, to get his validation, to say, like, yeah, good girl. And I was like, and I didn't hear that. He didn't say that, even though I knew he loved me and everything was good, but we had a good relationship. But I realized in that moment, I didn't get this validation from him, like, good girl, you made it, I realized I did it only for that. And it was not for me, the whole journey, the
mm,
whole struggle, pain, these endless exams, everything. It was for somebody else's dream. It was the dream of my parents, not mine. And it hit me and I was like, holy shit, I don't want to chase anyone approval or validation anymore. And I want to start living for myself. And this day I came home and I cried and I was like, okay, let's just figure out what I want. Let's figure out what I want for the first time. And I put aside all my doubts, all my fears, all my limitations, and I created a piece of content and posted that for the first time in my life. And I promised myself to never betray myself anymore and to follow my dreams. And that was the moment I started to figure out what my dreams were. I started asking questions. And yeah, so that's how it started, you know? Like, I think for some people, in my case, it was always like I had to reach to hit the rock bottom first
Yeah.
because, I had this realization so many times that, it's not something I love. I don't want to waste my youth for that. But I just didn't quit because I wanted to be that good girl who comes to her father and says, "Yeah, I made it," But it's just so silly, right? To do something like 6 years of my life, I spent like chasing this kind of approval from somebody else. It is horrible, but I'm glad that I had this realization when I was 23 and
Yeah.
not 60.
Yeah, totally. I think like these situations, these realizations, like when it happens, it's horrible. It's one of the worst experiences of, certainly my life. And, when I was in it, I just didn't know how to handle it. Similar to you, like so grateful that it did happen for what it
Yeah.
then gives you. It's go through a lot, like a lot of shit, a lot of pain, a lot of, like stress, upheaval, like lots of days where it's not good and it's not fun and you don't feel like you've made any progress or got any closer to the answer for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. But it's your biggest gift. Like you wouldn't be sat here today doing what you're doing, living the life that you're living without that. So in theory, like that's almost like the price you pay to get there.
Yes.
Like you can't go, you can stay in a hotel and be like, well, I'm not going to pay for it. Go to a nice hotel, I'm not paying that. I'll pay half of that. It's fine. But I don't want to go for all of that. I don't want to. I don't want to put that much money on my credit card.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like a slap in the face.
yeah, painful, horrible, a bit humiliating. I think
Yeah.
like, oh my, why didn't I see that sooner? Why didn't why didn't I know any better? Okay,
Yeah.
so you you were creating the content. You post that first video. So when you press post, what happened next?
Like when I pressed post, it was kind of I felt freedom for the first time, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I had to create a separate account because I was still afraid that my friends would see that. Like I had to create a different account, yes. But because, yes, I had this realization like, okay, I want to follow my dreams. But I would lie to you if I had said right now that, I didn't have this fear of judgment and what others had to say about me. I was super afraid of that. So I chose this path of, I didn't block anyone, but I just didn't want them to see me because I was still weak. I had this dream, but I was not strong enough. So if they would see that and laugh at my face or just say, "Oh, Victoria, it is silly," or if I, like would know that they share that with other friends and laugh at me, I was too weak still and I needed a bit of time to grow and to become stronger and to really like dig deeper into that purpose of mine. I don't know if it's like my English sometimes, that is also something I always tell my students. I'm a queen of imperfect actions.
Yeah.
So
So I was watching a
my
YouTube video on that, and I was like, "That is it! Like messy, dirty action. Like it doesn't have to be
exactly.
pretty. It doesn't have like sometimes it's just a bit of not a throwaway, but like just do something."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because sometimes you do the first step and then the second is so much easier. The first step is always the hardest one. So, yeah, I had to hide my account for the first 6 months, but I took massive action, like massive. I posted so many videos. I really like I hired a coach and I really want to change my life. I quit my job like in 2 months after posting that first video. I quit my job and I had zero money on my bank account, but I had this faith that it will work out, you know, because for the first time in my life I'm doing something what feels right, even though I don't know. I didn't know how to create content. I didn't know how Instagram worked. I didn't know anything. But of course, like hiring a coach was really important because otherwise I would just go in circles and not make progress for more years. So yeah, I mean, it was scary, but I just you know what I did also? I stopped being in contact with people who didn't support my dream. And it meant, you know, actually, I had two friends who supported my ideas, and I stopped like talking to anyone. I didn't tell anyone. Like my parents didn't know. Of course they didn't. I mean, they would have killed me, I thought. But, you know, I told them when I had success already. And that is just, you know, some people say, yeah, you shouldn't care what others think. I did care, unfortunately. So I think if do whatever helps you achieve success, whatever, like it doesn't mean what it is. Yeah. So some people block their friends or they're like not friends, but some people they don't want to see their content. They block them. And I say, okay, do whatever it takes. I don't care. Like, do it.
Yeah.
You will become stronger
Yeah. And I think
mentally.
that's really interesting what you're saying there. And I've never heard it put like that, but it's a really good way to look at it of like, you will get stronger. Almost like make that first step easier. Like when you start your journey, whatever, but then you can spread that out of like, well, what's the level of friction could I take away to make that easier? Could I, is it that my thoughts about the judgment of other people, other friends, people I know, laughing at me, doing this, doing that, sharing it around, is that what the is stopping me?
Mm-hmm.
That's a yeah. Well, why not? Why not do it? Why not
Yeah.
remove that level of friction? If that's what's stopping you, then do it. Now, my friend called it the new trainers effect. So he's like,
Mhm.
he said to me like, if the cost of getting started is going and buying a new pair of trainers to go to the gym in, or a new top or a new pair of shorts to go to the gym in, he said, if that's what it costs, go and pay it.
Yes.
Because if you're more likely to go and do that first gym session or go on that first run because you've got those trainers, like if that's what it costs to get you started, then that's what it costs.
I love that.
You're going to look back, however, you know, down the line, and you're like, those trainers that cost me £100, €100, whatever, are now like that. Like cost is then minimal for the amount of times
Yeah.
that you use it, and it's like those sort of things. Like I know when I started my journey, I was at a retreat in Marbella, and I've gone into more detail on it previously, but I took a picture. So I ended up having a breakdown in a fire exit of this hotel in Marbella, and I got to a point where I got it out of my system, and I was like, I'm going to take a picture of this fire exit because that's what started it. Like this like I can't keep going on like this. Snap! I now know what I need to do. Like I know I'm not going to do that again.
Mhm. Wow.
Does that make
I
sense?
think I saw that. I thought I saw that on your page today where I came to your page. I saw that picture. You
Yeah.
posted it,
Yeah,
right?
it's mad. I'd love to go back and just be like, 2 years on,
Yeah.
little fire exit.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. The cost, like, pay the price. Why not, right? So if it helps you start, do whatever it takes, as I told already. And there is nothing wrong with that. Nothing. If it helps you start your journey.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like it's worth having those like different. different avenues and different things to work on and have those different sort of like goals that you're pursuing. I know for me, almost like I do better when I don't think about it.
Mhm.
That makes sense. If I just focus on what I need to do and I'm not there like stressing about how far I've got to go or like what the end is, I'm just kind of like, I should think about what I'm doing today. And then
Yeah.
I'm doing today, tomorrow, and then the day after that, and the day after that. And sometimes it isn't an everyday thing. You don't need to like at the start, maybe it's a little bit different, but like you don't need to be doing it, living in it absolutely every minute of every day. Just
Mhm.
having those
Yeah.
sort of like I know for me, I like having my fingers in a couple of different pies. Like I like having a bit of a project over here, a bit of a project over here, bit of a project over here. Okay, well I want this. I want to do a bit of this, but like it's not really the right time for it. It doesn't fit right now. But I'll put it to one side. I'll come back to it later. Like I think having those different levels of looking at your different areas of your life and creating a level of that balance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I love what you say. Like the first thing is um like there isn't the word to confront something. I'm not sure like some people confuse it with the other word, but to confront something means to be face to face with something comfortably without pushing it away, like to be okay with something. So if people cannot confront, in my case it was judgment, like, I could not confront that. If I saw that message from someone, oh my gosh, like you started being an online coach. Oh, that is so silly. It would have killed me. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it's something that I could not confront. I could not face that. So choose something you can confront. For example, yeah, what can you confront? Can you confront just posting a video and seeing a stranger writing the exact same comment, but it's just a stranger? I thought it's just a stranger. It doesn't hurt so much as if I would have gotten it from my friend somehow. So, and the second thing, what you're talking about, like if I got it right, because there was a connection problem somehow, to did you say that it is better to have your attention on different projects, or is it a bad idea? Like, I didn't get it.
I think there's a level of nuance. This is a very English phrase. So there's 100 ways to skin a cat. So there's a lot
Mhm.
of different ways of doing the same thing. Ultimately, you end up with the same outcome. There's a lot of ways,
Mm.
lots of ways of going about it. Now, for some people, like previously, with very much one track mind, I am everything's my business. No days off. I'll work on it from the early hours of the morning till late at night. And that's fine. But for me, I hate it. I would hate doing that. I like having lots of different things. So imagine you have like 10 coins and you've got all these different areas. Like in theory,
Mhm.
you could go one of them in each,
Mhm.
but that then slows down your progress. So then you've got to be okay with, I'm okay with slower progress because I'm paying into all these different bank accounts, for example. I'm paying into all these different things here. So my finance is spread. Some
Mhm.
people are like, no, I want all in on one thing.
Yeah.
But all of that in one, ignore the others, which is fine too. They'll get progress, they'll get wins, they'll get that single outcome quicker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me, I'm probably like a few different, I might put like three in this one and then two in that one, and then I put one in there and one in there and one in there, and however many I've got left, I'll put it in. I'll put it in that. Like for me, I we used to then try and do the whole. Well, I need to put everything in one bank account, and
Mhm.
I just don't like it. And then I find I'm going off and pursuing like these little side quests, and then beating myself up. Oh, that's just a distraction from the main thing. What I've actually done is like, oh, actually, I like to spread the love, um, as it were. That doesn't, yeah. and be okay that that might mean slower progress, but like it'll come eventually. I used to have this fear um, around I have to make it young. Like I want
Mm-hmm.
to be that young prodigy who's making it at 21, 22, 23. You know, like you see, I don't know where it came from. Maybe it's to do with like watching like sports people come through and being champions and playing at high levels at 21 years old. But
Yeah.
like some people are late bloomers, and I look at the people who, again, I spoke about this with the last guest. There's people over here who, you know, like they find there's, well, how do I say it? On one side there is a like inspiration. I aspire to be like so and so, and the other end of that there is I copy them.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I used to go around on Instagram, scroll through, and be like, oh, I'm going to save that post, I'm going to save that post, I'm going to save that post, because I just want to be like it. That I can then just rewrite the words. I used to think I was making it better. I would just rewrite it. This was before the days of ChatGPT, so I sat there and rewrote it myself, which is a joke because I knew that AI could have done it. I would have done that. Hey, if it happened a few years later, um, like I would manually go through and rewrite it, and I hated it. Like, and like I look back now and I cringe, and it's such an ick around like I used to do that. Like I used to copy rather than take inspiration. Like I look at people who now, especially, you know, where I potentially want to take this, or people that have changed lanes, like they're not the 21-year-olds, they're not the 22-year-olds. They're people who are, you know, in their 30s, they're in their, you know, they're all at different stages of life. But for me now, having that realization to be like, well, actually, I know this isn't for me, and going through that process, like I much rather that than ending up in a world where I can't, like I have to be nail my colors to the mast, be fully fixed in 21, 22, 23. That's that. And then do the same for the next 40 to 50 years. Nah.
Yeah. And it's also like I loved what you said. Like also you mentioned a couple of times that it feels better for me. And I think, yeah, like we should find a system that works best for us. Something that is like we feel comfortable with. Something, like there are so many different ways how to make money online. Like different business models, like like different content styles. It is so different. Some people, they have a team working for them. Some people, they just grab their phone and go to the forest and just film a video. And they don't have a fancy apartment. They don't have I don't know, like a fancy lifestyle, but they make a ton amount of money with Instagram or YouTube. And I think there are so many different business models, and each of them works if you stick to it. And here's like that is the moment where self-doubt creeps in. If you don't stick to it long enough and you start doubting it, and you're like, okay, I should switch. It doesn't work. I don't believe in myself. I should. And then you scroll and you find this girl or guy and you start following their system for a couple of months and it doesn't work. And then you switch again and again and again and again. And then you think maybe it's a niche. Maybe I should choose another niche. And then you switch the niche. Or I used to be that also. Like I actually made so many mistakes in the last year of my business. So many mistakes. I switched my niches a couple of times and tried something out for 2 or 3 months. It didn't work. And then I came back to the old one. But people were so confused because I started doubting myself again. And I think self-doubt is something that is killing more business owners, like more dreams, more aspirations than anything ever could. We should stick to something that works for us, to a system, and believe in it and believe in ourselves and believe in our message and not switch. Because if we work with people, they feel that doubt, and they feel that we are confused and frustrated and we don't know what we're actually doing. So we need to just once again rely on ourselves, rely on what we believe in, because everything works if you want it to work. Manifestation works, meditations work, religion works, whatever you choose it to be, it works if you believe in it, and if you just stick to it and commit to it to 100%. I think it's very important. And that is, again, comes down to that question: how do I see that? Like, how do I want it to be? What do I choose? What do I believe in? And yeah, so self-doubt, again, self-doubt, right? We started with that and we finished with that.
Yeah,
Because
gonna say
that is
that is
a
a
killer.
loop and a half, and that wasn't planned.
Yeah. So crazy, crazy. But I love, and I always tell my students, like, what do you want? They ask me what is the best, but I always say, like, okay, honey, what do you want? I have a beautiful girl in our close community, and she's like, I don't want that shiny life and that fancy, traveling and all this luxury. I want family content and family like life. And I'm like, wow, that is beautiful. That is amazing. Like, if that makes you happy, talk about it, share about it. That is your passion. And I think what you also said, like, about this young, you didn't say that, but I had this thought, like, about these young people who are posting about this, like, how to become rich in 6 months. And so many people are really frustrated when it doesn't happen so fast, because they see them buying cars in 4 months, and before they were like broke, living on the streets. These crazy stories. I don't know, maybe some of them are real, but what if not? What if not? I don't know. Like, you cannot trust everyone online, and people want this quick progress, and they start doubting themselves when it doesn't happen so fast. But I think real wealth and success, it is something you choose to, that is the way of life. And it happens over time. When you first, like, there is no money at all, you just invest in your business over and over again. You invest in your business and yourself, and then at some point you will be rewarded big time.
Yeah, totally. And I can, that's certainly for me. Like, right here, right now, I feel more successful, more aligned than when I thought I was like doing all right. Now, that for me was then a point, like, it spent, like, in reality, I have less money, less notoriety, like, less freedom to an extent, but like deep down, I'm so much more happy. I can sit here and be like I can sit there and be really happy the fact that, oh, that was a really nice coffee that I made for myself.
Yeah.
Those wins don't have to be massive. They don't have to be groundbreaking. I don't have to sit here and be like, oh my God, I have to make, I'll only be happy, or I made less money this month, but I had more time with my family, or I went on
Mhm.
holiday, or whatever the thing is, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
like, it's redefining that success, because in theory, if I saw me right now, like 2-3 years ago, I'd be like, oh, what happened? Like, you fell off. But I didn't, not really. Like, I'm so much happier. I'm so much more at peace. Like, I don't feel constantly inadequate. Like, I know what I need to do. I'm just a lot more chilled about the whole situation. Like, I used to be very highly strung. I'm like horizontal. It's all good.
Hmm.
Then there is things that you just like, you have that focus and attention on.
Yes, I love that. Otherwise, it's also so easy to just burn out, even though I don't really believe in burnout, especially when you follow your dream, your purpose. There is an endless source of energy. But when I talk about burnout, it is something that comes in when you are trying so hard to achieve the goals you never wanted to achieve, and you stress out and you have no faith, right? You have no faith, you have no trust in the process. You're just hustling, 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 and you just want to get something. You want the result. You're so focused, not you, but people are so focused on the result, on something they want to get. But it doesn't work like that. We need to give. We need to give to the world. We need to create, and we need to focus on our purpose. How can we help others? And only then the universe will give us everything that we want. And we need to let go of the result. That is the key to success, I think. That is like something that saved my life and my business so many times. The moment I started to chase something, like to really be in need of something happening faster, that is was the moment where some everything started to
Like click, fall into place.
otherwise like when I started to chase and to be in that like hustle, I want to get it as soon as possible energy, and this needy energy, that was the moment where it didn't work and it would never work, you know. And the moment I'm like, I'm just doing whatever, like I'm just doing my best, I'm helping people, and I don't expect anything. That is hard, by the way, very
Yes.
hard.
So hard. And like in a world of transactions to like switch that, that's
Yeah.
like, I give you this, you give me that. Like,
Yeah.
definitely. What an incredible place to finish up. Thank you so much. Now, Victoria, tell people what is next for you.
Next for me,
Yeah, in terms of like what you're working on, what's coming up for you.
I'm working on creating, like, we already have a community, a closed one, where I have group coaching sessions with my students. And I want this community to become bigger over the next year. Like 2026 is going to be my main focus. I think I'm at the point now where I created so many different products. Like, it is insane what I've made in the last year, starting from how to overcome like self doubt, limiting beliefs, programs that will help you rewire your brain, but also programs that help you build a very successful like personal brand. So because that is what I realized, so many followers on mine, they just wanted to also to show their journey and to become a content creator or a coach. So I have created everything they need, and now I just want to as many people as possible join our community so we can actually transform their lives as like faster, because courses is something that sometimes people buy and never use. I mean,
Mhm.
I used to do that also. Like, I
Me
bought
too.
courses but never finished. And I think, you know, I worked with so many people one on one, and that is incredible. And I actually saw the progress and the changes. It was amazing. But the thing is, I cannot help many people by doing just that, you know, one on one. So that is why community is where I see the most potential. So, like, anyone who's willing to quit their 9 to 5 and follow their dream, very welcome to join us. And I'm also grateful for having me here. Thank you so much for this invitation, for this message. I wish you like success in your journey. I see you're passionate about that. I'm sure you will make it. And at some point, you're in the UK, right? UK,
Yeah.
London, somewhere?
Near Birmingham.
Okay, nice. So yeah, want to visit very soon as I solve that problem with my visa, because right now I'm in Russia, but very soon I'm going to be
Okay.
in Europe. Yeah.
Amazing. Lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.